So welcome everybody to the second hour of Mindshifters Radio. Today is Tuesday, January the 5th, 2021, and their call-in number is 563-999-3581, and press 1, and that puts you into queue to talk to us. We'd love to hear your comments and your questions because that makes this your show. Give Michael just a moment to get dialed in. Invite you to go to our website, which is whyagain.org, whyagain.org. And click on the bullseye or the start here. They both take you to the same place, and that's where you'll find lots of tools. Welcome, Michael.
Dear Heart, and welcome everybody. Honored and delighted that you're here to be part of this conversation, to carry forward this first century idea from the Aramaic language and the teachings of a man named Yeshua on how to remove from your structure anything that you don't want to experience. And of course, we've become specialists at being able to blame everybody else for what we're experiencing, but we have a very simple test for telling whether or not what you're experiencing is yours or not. And the test is, are you experiencing it? If you're experiencing it, stop lying to yourself and telling you it's about everybody else and somebody else did it to you, because that's all just a hallucination in your mind that is a result of denial. And so we want to unfold a set of tools for being restored to the truth of who we are and literally removing anything that we'd rather not be experiencing. And when we pretend somebody else is responsible for what we're experiencing, then we cut ourselves out of the ability to remove that experience, because if it belongs, of course, to somebody else, how can you remove it? Recognize that everything you feel, everything you experience, and it doesn't matter what's happening in your environment. It doesn't matter. What you're experiencing is always a product of an internal dynamic. And if the internal dynamic is painful, then it's time to let it go. And we had spoken about reading from Why Is This Happening to Me Again? So I'm actually going to start from the beginning. The other day I did a piece in particular that I wanted to do, but we're going to start from the beginning of the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? It is out of print. You can go on eBay and Amazon. You usually find a copy pretty inexpensively there. We're getting ready to put out a special. We do have the book recorded, and it's a powerful recording that was done between myself and a gentleman who was a former NASA computer scientist. You've heard me talk about him before. He was actually Michael J's computer teacher, and he shared with me one day, after he'd been a student of my work for several years, and after the book came out, he'd read it, and I was visiting Michael J, and he said, I was in the bathtub a couple of days ago just soaking, and I was asking for guidance on what's my next piece of spiritual work. And the guidance he got was to contact me and do the part of Richard as the character in the book. And it was powerful. He went through heart stuff. Actually, he passed away from a heart attack about 2 years ago now. And this, of course, we did 15 years ago. But during the reading of the book, playing the part of Richard, it brought up heart pain and some stuff that, I wish he'd gone to a deeper level of working on it. But anyway, he plays the character Richard in the book and the reading of it. And we just actually picked up, we had some wonderful folks up in Michigan. And thank you to Rick and Susan Pelkey for being there for us and shipping things out all that time. And we'll hold the space for Rick, who passed away just a couple of weeks ago. But anyway, we had a large inventory of the book on CD, which we had shipped here. And so we decided, for a lack of warehouse space and such, that we were going to put a sale on it. I'm not sure exactly what that's going to look like. I think we might package it with a free meditation CD. We've got a meditation called Wellness to Stillness that a lot of people really love to listen to. But we'll let you know about that. We'll be sending out a newsletter. And if you're not on our newsletter, by the way, you might want to go to our website, whyagain.org. And the middle center of the page up at the top, you'll see a link where you can add yourself to our mailing list. and as the newsletter comes out, and we don't send them out very often, so you won't get a whole lot of mail from us, and we only use it for things related to this work. So we'll be sending that out along with a notice on the intensive coming up starting the 27th of January. But anyway, holding you in a blessing and moving forward with this work of forgiveness is an awesome privilege. Someone else I'd like to mention that comes to mind at this point, some of you knew or know Mindy Patrick and knew Kevin Patrick. And Kevin had a challenge with leukemia, but he was doing fairly well with that. And unfortunately, back a couple of weeks ago, both he and Mindy got COVID. And he ended up just a couple of days ago passing away from that. And so I just wanted to mention Kevin and have everybody in the community hold a space for him as he goes to the next level of his journey. And Mindy, who's still recovering, she seems like she's doing okay, recovering from COVID. So we just hold you both in our hearts, and Mindy and your whole family, we just hold you in that space of love, sending active present love to you and seeing you well and whole and healing and processing through this difficult time. So hold you in our hearts.
Michael, we do have 2 hands up already. I don't know.
Well, let me see as how we're going to start with the book each show. Let's do that first, and then we'll come back to those hands. Great, thanks for letting me know. Okay, so I'm going to read from the question in the book, the overview of the book, and the title of it is this book for you? Have you ever had any conflict in any of your relationships? Attempted the geographic cure? Tried unsuccessfully to change others? Have you had thoughts like, why is this happening to me again? Why are they doing this to me again? Why am I doing this to myself again? Why can't life just cooperate? This book presents practical tools for change. People who participate in our workshops report significantly improved relationships, creativity, finances, and eating habits. Many say their health and energy levels are better and that their mental functions and emotional stability are enhanced. We're told that victimhood and addictions drop away, spiritual health increases, and peace of mind becomes a normal and natural state. Please read the book for an overview first, focusing on its subtle points. Focusing on its subtle points. It takes time to build the brain cells for significant change to take place and to understand some of the ideas that will be presented in this work. Brain cells are the body's storage system for information, and brain cells refers not to building physical structure, but storing information for future recall. Using the suggested tools will answer questions, fill in the blanks, and open up far-reaching implications of this work. Like any new language, this material may be confusing at first. It might be all Greek to you. A learning curve is normal with any new information. Unraveling old patterns and teaching your mind new ways to function takes time. Beware the tendency of the mind to reject what is inconsistent with your current beliefs. I suggest that you set aside anything that does not fit your thinking and see how those pieces work as you build new information into brain cells. And of course, when we talk about brain cells, we're talking about the capacity of every cell in the structure to store information, not just the so-called physical brain. Invest the time, and you'll be amazed at what you'll comprehend from these pages. After intense interaction, it will feel as if a mental switch is thrown and understanding just falls into place. To reap endless benefits from this work does not require belief, understanding, or agreement. The skeptic who dares simply put the pen to the paper will actually uses these tools will produce dramatic, life-changing results. And then I quote a gentleman who lived from 1871 to 1922, Marcel Proust, and he says, "The challenge of life consists not in exploring new landscapes, but in developing new eyes." As a result of completing this text, the reality structure in your mind will change. life will be seen with new eyes. The book will seem to change, but of course it remains the same. Your perception of this material and the world will shift to new levels of application, and as new levels of application and meaning unfold. And so that's as far as I'm going to take it, that introduction. And Jeanie, let's go forward and let's say hello to our callers.
Okay, the first one is area code 514. You're on the air. Who do we have?
Hello.
Welcome, 514. Give us a name. Where are you calling from?
Hi, Michael. Hi, Jeanie. It's Sarah calling with Michelle from Montreal. How are you?
Oh, well, welcome. The Canadian contingent. Good to hear your voice.
Yes. Thank you. So I'm here with Michelle. He's a little shy, and he, long story short, if I'm capable of doing that, he had heart episodes, and the last time he went to the hospital, they basically told him, it's anxiety-based, it's in your head. So I said, oh, well, you need to do the work. And today we were doing Mind Shifters, and I said, why don't we go on the radio show and you can get some information on how to work through your anxiety and start using the tools to get better.
Sweet. Well, Michelle, it's a delight to meet you, and no need to say anything if that's not appropriate, but we're glad you're here. And the whole bottom line of this work is to recognize that, every thought you think literally changes what we call chemistry in the body. If I had someone measuring the chemistry in my index finger and I decided to raise my finger, I would measure both electrical and chemical changes on the level where we talk about chemistry happening in my finger, just as a result of having the thought, I'm going to move my finger. And so literally every thought we think, if you go to the opening words in the book of John, and we start our work with some of the most ancient teachings on the planet, and then bring it forward to some of the most current scientific teachings. And if you go to the opening words in the book of John, in the New Testament, they don't say in the beginning was the Word and the Word became flesh. What it says is in the beginning was the mind energy, and the mind energy became flesh, which doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense to people, but when you listen to the cell biologists today, 2,000 years later, here's what they're saying. When we think a thought, every thought produces a molecule in our bodies. The molecule is called a neuropeptide, and the neuropeptide circulates around in the body until it finds a cell with the receptor site. It lands on the cell, and when it lands on the cell, it inserts it in the cell. And if you were looking from inside the cell, when that neuropeptide lands and inserts itself in the cell, it would show up in the cell as chemistry. So our thoughts literally change our chemical condition. So my offering is that is not true. It is not all in your head. The cause is in your head, but the chemicals, quote unquote, are in your body. Now, without getting deep into everything it will take to really make sense of all of this, we'll recognize that, in fact, chemistry is nothing but a reflection of energetic patterns, and it's energetic patterns of thoughts. So the core tool that we teach in this work, and you're blessed, the young lady that's with you has had a fair bit of experience with this tool, is first century Aramaic forgiveness. And forgiveness in Aramaic doesn't mean I'm going to let you off the hook because of the pain or the trauma or the quote-unquote chemistry that's moving in me. Forgiveness means a tool with which you go inside yourself and remove that deleterious chemistry or those energy patterns that don't belong. So if you put an energy pattern sourced by a thought into your tissue structure and it lands in your liver, the doc's going to look and say, oh, you have the liver disease. If you put the same energetic pattern, it happens to land in your big toe, and you remember in the introduction I said, that when we talk about building brain cells, it's not just in the physical brain, but literally every cell in the body stores information. If I put a destructive or a disintegrative quality of energy into my big toe, somebody's going to come along and look and say, oh, you have the big toe disease. If I put it in the heart, the lung, the liver, the brain, somebody's going to say you've got the heart, the liver, the lung, the brain disease. And from what we've just been told, it sounds like you've been told that there are some untoward energies, some energies that don't belong, that you've stored in your heart. And so if you're willing to start to utilize the forgiveness process as it was taught in the first century, not as the Greeks teach it today, what you'll find is you will, over time, remove those energetic patterns from your heart. Oftentimes, if those disintegrative energies land in the heart, it's because there are already disintegrative energies there that are sometimes generational. So a question that, I would ask is there any heart disease within your family system? If you go back to grandma, grandpa on either side, great-grandparents and such, is there any of that? And if so, then there's a genetic predisposition for disintegrative energies that you would think, and those are things based in any form of hostility or fear, to have those energies land in your heart. And forgiveness would be about emptying them, removing them, so that the chemistry, quote-unquote chemistry, in the cells of your heart can go back to normal and function properly. So it sounds like you had a great doc who was able to tell you this is not physical, but there's something, in fact, it is, because the quote-unquote chemistry is changed by our thoughts, but to be able to say the cause level is what you're doing with your mind. And so we've got the tools for changing what you're doing with your mind. I hope that makes sense, and we're delighted to be here to support you.
Thank you.
Any thoughts? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But I got two. Yes, I got two operations for the heart, and after that I got very, very so physically. So I got really two good operations, and then I got in a very bad depression, and I'm still now in that depression. And my thoughts are always, I know it's bad, but my thoughts are always in the past when I was doing well. So I cannot see the bright future in front of me, even if it's bright.
Right.
So I got physically operated, and now my thoughts are damaged. It's very difficult for me to have nice thoughts. It's very difficult. So and it goes in. I lost. I had issues with my relation. That's somebody that I love. I had issues financially, and I had issues with my thoughts about myself. So for me, it's a lot of things that happens. It's like in all aspects of my life, a lot of things are happening in the same time. So it's very, very, very difficult for me. Yeah.
I hear you. Well, the first thing I'll do is I'll offer you support in perhaps with the current understanding and tools that you have. And if I heard it properly, very, very, very difficult, a triple very difficult. My offering would be, my invitation to you would be to be willing to change that thinking, because that thinking is a kind of destructive thinking that will just add to the load. And what we're about to do, and what that young lady sitting beside you is about to do, is share with you some tools that will make it easier and easier and easier to change those dynamics. In this work, we call, let's say, for instance, you mentioned thoughts about yourself. We call those thought disorders. And when you've got a thought disorder, and most of us come into the world, do you have any children by any chance?
Yeah, I have three children, yeah.
Okay. If you went back to the moment at which you first held any one of those three children, do you remember the moment where you first held them?
Absolutely, yeah.
If you went back to the moment where you first held any one of those children and tapped into the essence of them as human beings, what word would you use to describe their essence?
It's very difficult for me to answer. It's like if my brain cannot function right now. So I have so much that I'm so much in the gray zone. That my brain is difficult for me to answer question, or I'm so anxious. I never it never arrived in my life to be like that. So for me, I'm highly educated. I'm a great communicator, but I lost all that. I cannot communicate. I cannot think well. So it's difficult for me to answer whatever, even the simple question.
Okay.
Yeah. But for sure, I when I saw my little boy, it's for sure I felt like the light was there, like the light was there. It was amazing. It was energizing. It was the best,
pure
the best
of love,
invention
right?
in the world. Yeah, love. Yeah, for sure.
Notice how your voice tone just changed, and notice how the feelings in your body just changed.
Yes.
Here's my first
absolutely.
piece of input. Here's my first piece of input for you. Spend more time with your son. Spend more time remembering what you just told us and being that space. Your chemistry just changed. If someone were measuring the chemistry in your heart and in your brain, in those few words that you just spoke, it changed. Now, you've got a habit, you've already shared with us, of going into the thought disorders, the pain, the challenges, the traumas of life. My invitation would be this will start to create an opening for you of just take that 30 seconds that you shared with us and spend time in that space. And when I say time, it may be 30 seconds, 60 seconds, work up to where you can spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes there, twice a day in that space. And if it's nothing other than just say, in meditation they do mantras. So your mantra might be, I remember my little boy and how powerfully the light was there. And get to the point where twice a day you can spend 15 minutes remembering how powerfully the light was there and how it touched you. Twice a day, 15 minutes. That will begin a shift. Say again? Go ahead.
So you're right, but that day when my boy is born, with my ex-wife, she so when in the minute when I took him,
right. Are you still with us? I think maybe we got disconnected. Jeanie, are we still on the line?
No, their call just dropped.
Okay. Well, let's give them a second to call back.
Right back. There they are.
Okay, cool. Great. Welcome
yes,
back.
Sorry.
So you started to say in the minute?
Yeah, in the minute that, it was we were well at the hospital. It was a great day. Friends, the family were there. And in the minute when my son is born, my wife at the time, because we were divorced, she started to insult me and scream at me, and she didn't want me to take my child. She was insulting me and saying that I could not hold him well and all that. And at that time I was a powerful man, a company man, a friend, and like I said, I did get everything. So she was like, so my first, even if I was the most happy man in the world, the reality for me was a very bad experience of getting insulted and getting if I was not good to have my boy. So I live with that for my boy is 30-year-old now. So I always live like that, and even we divorced a couple of years after because of that aggression that began to get higher and higher and higher. So
So I hear you saying. Go ahead.
I have a contradiction feelings. So I have, wow, I'm lucky to have a boy or a girl, healthy, or I'm happy. My name is going to continue in life. I'm happy. And then I have the woman that I love that is having a very bad reaction, and then it continues for years. And so for me, I tagged a nice situation and a bad situation in almost the same moment.
Right. Okay. So here's my input. Your assignment, should you choose to do it, and here's how you can get out of that whole circumstance to change your life. One, I'm going to invite you to take the forgiveness tool that Sarah's going to share with you if she hasn't already. You can maybe download the forgiveness app on your phone and start to use that to forgive the buildup of energetic trauma that you've gotten from focusing on your wife's anger and her attacking you. So that's going to be half of the task, is forgiving that, is removing that energy from your structure, because obviously it's had a very profound and powerful effect on you. And the other side of the coin, as a starting point, again, notice that just a few minutes ago, and you might go back, when we finish this show, there'll be a recording of it available. You might go back and just take that few seconds that you spoke about, and from where I stand, your energy shifted totally into love. If you take that and edit this radio show down to you just take that 30 or 45 seconds that you spoke, and then put it on a loop and listen to it and be with that energy 15 minutes twice a day. That will be the meditation that will assist you in shifting all of this energy. So the two things together, strengthening that beautiful experience that was there, and forgiving or removing the attack that came in that you've linked to that experience. And as you start to do that, you will start to see, I would offer, virtually everything in your life shift. It's going to take work. It's going to take acquiring some new skills. You're going to have to discipline yourself, 15 minutes twice a day. And again, you can take the recording of your own voice, just that few seconds that you spoke, put it on a loop so it plays over and over and over and over again until you can discipline your mind to just be focused on the presence of love that you experienced in that moment. And when you start to flood your physiology with that, and at the same time work to remove the energetic patterns of attack, you will shift everything in your life. I've seen it happen with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. The work is there to do it, and I can understand and hear that the energy shift has been very deep for you into this pain and trauma. And it's kind of like now there's a big pit that's been dug and it's filled with garbage, and shoveling it out is not going to be a necessarily easy task. But Sarah's got the tool there. We've spent 40 years developing that tool, and it works. If you'll use that to shovel out that trauma and let go of your identification with it, and again, at least twice a day for the rest of eternity, you spend 15 minutes meditating, and if it's just your mantra on what a beautiful light, and let yourself become more and more attuned to that, your life's going to change.
Okay. Yeah.
And as that happens, we'll be here to support you. There will be traumatic moments in it. There are several other tools we have to offer to support you in changing that as well. But there's a starting point, a place you can start to work today. We have an online, if you're ready to do another level of work, we have an online intensive coming up that's going to start on the 27th of January. It's going to be a 14-week online intensive. If you're ready to really take it to another level, then you might want to think about doing that intensive, joining us for that. There'll be 4 hours of video self-study per week, and then there'll be a 2-hour live Zoom conversation each week on Wednesday nights from 6 till 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And we'll be supporting you and others in the intensive in moving through this codependent world where, we come in, we all come in. If you think about that presence of light and love that you tapped into with your son, you came in exactly the same way. And what generally happens is, and we all come in like that, and the world beats it out of us. And the work is moving back to the truth of who we are. The truth is that light is you. That light is exactly who you are. The rest of it is all generational energetic patterns of hostility or fear that never belong within a human system. And the work of forgiveness is to literally remove those generational patterns. And as you do, your whole physiology, your chemistry, your mental, emotional condition is going to change. And we're here to support that change. So 5 days a week, you've got a live conversation. You're willing to, if you're ready to do the work, be on the show every day. There are 2 hours, actually. I don't know if you guys were on the hour previous, but Dr. Tim Hayes is a psychologist who's in Chicago, who's done this work for the last 17 or so years. And he's there to support and answer questions, as am I and Jeanie. So you got a whole support team here, my friend.
So just to let you know, I'm 56-year-old. I had a lot, like I said, I want to tell you something very precise. I had a lot of success, like extreme success. Then I lost a lot. And in my professional life and in my relation, and like I said, even when my boy is born and then my daughters. So
right.
So I have a fight with myself about had a great life, but I had very, very, very bad moments. And I find myself responsible for everything. So I'm 56. I never thought I was going to live until even 56. So sometimes I say to myself, maybe it's better for me not to be here.
Well, my offering to you would be, if you can recognize your son's light and you recognize that you're the same light, maybe the gift you can give to your 3 children and to yourself and to the world is to do the work of bringing that light back rather than just extinguishing it. Bring it back. The world needs it. There's so much trauma going on in the world, and we've been taught to identify with the trauma and the fear and the rage and the guilt and the grief and the pain. And we're here to reverse all of that teaching. We're here to reverse all of those energetic patterns and support people in being uplifted and being restored to the truth of who they are. And the truth is, here's what I know about you. You are made of light. You are made of, as your son, conscious, active, present love. And I hear that the world's done a pretty good job of beating it out of you. So now the work is the work of recovery, and that is to recover the truth of who you are. And it may take changing some environments. I've watched people who've done all kinds of negative and destructive things, and they're on a path to self-destruction. I often call to them and say, hey, come back. There's something else. You don't want to go down that road. So I got that you're at a crossroads, and you could go down that other road, but remember the light that your son is. And you know what? Your son's only 30. He needs his father, and he needs his father's light. Your daughters need their father's light. And you need it. It's going to take work. I got that Sarah's there to support you. We're here to support you. And there's a whole community on the radio show listening right now from all over the globe that right now are focusing light and love and energy in your direction to support you. We've got the tools to support you through it.
Okay, thank you.
Your light is needed, my friend.
Yeah.
And it's time for us all to bring that forward. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right. And I get the sense that maybe there are a lot of tears there yet to be cried. And I'll invite you to breathe through that energy as you let those layers go and engage in your healing process. Healing is not Dr. Feelgood. It's going to mean going through a lot of those old energy patterns with the tools and the support. You can do it, and we're here to support you.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be holding you in our hearts. All right, young lady, how are you doing? What's exciting in your world?
Reconnecting with the word.
Ah, it's time, eh?
Yep.
Sweet. Well, maybe you two guys want to join in on the codependence, interdependence communication practicum coming up. It sounds like the core codependence
really
work would be.
I just looked at the flyer.
Cool. Cool.
It's funny how I've done this whole course at least 3 times, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, oh, that looks really interesting. I've done this before, but it's like if I didn't. So, yeah.
Well, you know, the awakening comes in layers and levels. I was sharing with somebody the other day. There's a woman who calls in the show fairly often, Joan Tufts from Birmingham, and she facilitated us getting in to speak at Unity in Birmingham, and she actually invited us, and we stayed with her. And she shared that when she heard about my work, she's like, had this vague feeling about it. It was like, this sounds really good. Really, I'm gonna go to these workshops when he comes here. And one day she shared that she went over her bookshelf, and there was my book. She said, well, gee, I must have bought that used at a bookstore or something. I don't know. And she pulled the book off of her bookshelf, opened it up, and there's her handwriting. She's got the book totally full of notes, and went back unconscious again, totally forgot she ever touched the work. And that's kind of what the non-being mind, the mind based in hostility or fear, tends to want to do. Shut that down. No, we need to be in this realm. And so I hear you, and, you know, it's building brain cells. To me, I feel blessed, you know, I look back over the last 50 years that I made the choice to do this work as my life, because I recognize that I probably wouldn't be doing it if I hadn't done that, if I'd have gone in a different direction. So I understand exactly what you're saying. Again, we're here to hold the space. You know, letting go of any kind of disintegrative, destructive behaviors and thoughts and being restored to life is what we're here to support.
Thank you.
So it'd be cool to have the French-Canadian contingent in the intensive. That would be awesome. We're talking to a young lady from Thailand that looks like she's going to participate. We've got people all over the country that we're talking to. So it's cool to see how groups come together and who's there. We just finished doing the first online intensive just a couple of weeks ago, and we had 25 people, and the energy, the support, the processing, the work that was done was just amazing. In fact, I'll send you a link to, there's one woman who was in the intensive named Magda, and she shared on the show, and Jeanie, you know, separated that out into just a segment where she shared a healing experience she had with her I think it was her great-great-grandfather. Maybe it was just her grandfather. Anyway, when you hear what she did, and it was just, you know, it was one of the assignments in the intensive, and she went back through, and it was just monumental. I'll send you a link to that. So we hold the space, and if it's appropriate, let's be in touch and get you set up to come and play. It includes, you know, we'll get you set up to do the personal code evaluation. That gives, you know, if you remember, feedback on what exactly the challenges are and where to work and how to move forward. So it'll be fun to have you both there.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you very much.
All right, young lady. Say hello to your dad for me.
Thank you so much. I will.
Okay.
I will. I'll say hi to everyone.
All right, blessings. Some of you
All
may
right.
have been on the radio show when we shared. Sarah's dad was at an intensive in Florida back, 4 years ago now, 5 years ago. And it was really sweet that the week of that intensive was when my mother passed away. And he stepped in and did this just beautiful ceremony. Very touching ceremony for my mom. It was really awesome. So, say hello to your dad and tell him we send our love. All right, Miss Jeanie, you got another hand up, young lady?
We do, and it's actually Magda, 828. You're on the air.
Well, there you go. Speak of angels, and angels appear. Hey there, young lady.
Am I muted? Can you hear me?
No, you're loud and clear. We got you.
Very good, very good. Well, I really relate to your previous caller. Oh, my goodness, I really, really do. And I'd like to encourage him to do whatever he can to take your advice and do the work, because it is so worth it. And the world needs more love. And so as we work through our own issues that prevent us from being love here and presenting love on this planet, we enrich the entire world energetically. So that's and also I want to say something about the intensive that we just finished and how remarkable it was. I keep saying this almost every time I call, but it was absolutely remarkable to have the kind of closeness and support and feeling of groupness online. It's like, didn't think that would happen, and it did. It was quite an extremely great experience. So, and then there's a reason I called and pushed that button, number one, originally. I am doing a very, very good, terrible job of scaring myself. You know that I've been home from the hospital for 6 weeks now after that atrial fibrillation. And luckily I was not awake when they stopped my heart and started it again. And I'm glad of that after I've heard some other people talk about it. Anyway, I just went yesterday for echocardiogram to see how my heart is behaving now. And I have an appointment with the cardiologist tomorrow to get those results. So what I'm scaring myself about is that he's going to say, oh, your heart is absolutely ruined and you can't go home. We need to take you right to the hospital so we can do who knows what, open heart surgery. I don't know. But I will remind you that I've had lots of fears around medical people since I was 5 years old because of my trauma with getting my tonsils out. And I have worked through that to some extent, was able to get my eye surgery done and voluntarily and have some extractions that needed to be done. And I really had to work on that. And Chuck helped me and sat with me to do the worksheets that I needed to do, and I was able to get to that. So now I feel like I think that there's not too much more of this junk left about the medical folks and how scary they can be if they're not doing their job well.
Right.
And
you caught the dissociation.
And yet I am scaring myself about it. Go ahead.
Did you catch the denial in that? Did you catch
Probably.
the denial in that speaking? So they're not so scary anymore? Like the source of the fear was out there rather than in here?
Yeah. Right. Although my response to that is, Michael, they really were scary. They put this mask over my face, and the ether smelled so terrible. And who wouldn't get scared when they're 5 years old and think they're going to die?
You know who wouldn't get scared?
Oh, they think. Oh.
A 5-year-old who didn't have fear in them.
Yeah, right.
And you had a good measure of it from the family system, so it was present for you?
Yes. And I had just remembered, as I said that to you, who wouldn't get scared. Well, when I was 4 years old is when I was told that death is just like going to sleep and not waking up again. And so that was definitely frightening. I scared myself. I got really frightened because I was afraid to go to sleep. And I've had quite a long bout with denying sleep and resisting sleep, even unto this day. So what I'm calling for is help. Point me in a direction.
How about a mind shifter?
Yeah. Hold on, I'll get a paper. Oh.
Yeah, you're going to have to breathe on this one.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Breathing good. Okay, mind shifter. Go ahead.
It's safe and healing.
It's safe and healing.
And I love the idea.
And I love.
Pardon me. I love and enjoy the idea.
Love and enjoy.
Enjoy the idea. You know what's coming, right? Of going to sleep.
Yeah.
And never waking up.
Oh my God.
Breathe. You need to open that up field. I mean, that's pretty early terrorizing of a child.
Okay. Let me just read this back and make sure I got it. And part of me doesn't want to get this, Michael, but here we go.
I hear you. That goes on the right side of the page.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
It's safe and healing, and I love and enjoy the idea of going to sleep and never waking up. Okay. Is that it?
Yep.
Yeah, I think you got a good one there. And now I have a good one, and I will work it today.
Well, and we'll be holding the space.
Thank you. And I keep giving myself permission to say no. That if he proposes something based upon my physiology that I feel uncomfortable with, I can just say no and come home and work on it. Yeah, so that's a bright spot.
Yeah, and remember at the same time, there's oftentimes a desire to do something that we know is possible but haven't yet done and don't have the skills to do. And sometimes intervention where, there are techniques and tools to move us through that, to do what, cancel the thought that, let's say there's some sort of severe condition that I know, well, I can handle that. I can work through that. It might take me 30 years, but I can work through it.
Yeah. Right.
And if somebody offers me a tool that allows it to be done here and now, perhaps there's wisdom in accepting the tool, and I can still continue to work with the skills. And, you've really reinforced how knowledgeable and how powerfully supportive these folks are that you're working with. So I'd let myself be open to what would it take for me realistically to actually do that. When I started my life out, the thing that started me off in this work, and I know you've heard this before, was that They called my father into the hospital the night of my birth and said, your son's not going to make it. If you want to see him alive, you better get here because he's not going to live through the night. And, I lived for 25 years on an inhalator and pills. My lungs are 1,000 times better than they ever were in the first 25 years of my life. And I'm still dealing with cleaning up my lungs. And, fortunately, when I dug in and started to do this work, became a naturopath and, have worked in that arena, I've gotten to the point where, my lungs, I've not needed any form of intervention in decades with my lungs.
Yes.
And I'm not finished with that project yet. And when I realized the complexity of this energy system, when you start taking in genes that have literally the thoughts, the feelings, the energetic patterns of billions of people in our history, and the environmental conditions, all the things that go along with it, sometimes there's a space to say, well, yeah, I could do that, and I have an option.
Yes.
And if the option is viable and people I can trust, then maybe it would be wise to take the option.
I hear you. Yep, loud and clear. Thank you.
I know that I have that cup of water over there on the table, and I know that I have the mental power. I've heard of people doing it. I know that I have the mental power to reach over to my mind and pick up that cup of water and bring it over to drink. But I might die of starvation, or of thirst, before I get that skill developed. What I can do is get up and walk over and pick up the cup and put it in my mouth, So I wouldn't prejudge that. I'd put it in and really listen to your guidance, and we'll be there to hold the space so the right intuition comes. And
Thank you.
All right.
Well, my intuition's been working pretty well lately.
Sweet.
Thinking about my visit with grandfather. So, okay, thank you so much. I will get on this.
It's so perfect that you were here right after the conversation we just had. I love it.
I know.
All right.
Okay, blessings to all, and I'll report back to you, okay?
All right. Take care. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Tell Chuck we said hello and send our love. So breathing with everyone. So, Miss Jeanie, do we have anybody else there with a hand up in the phone queue, or anything in the chat room?
No. Joan is in the chat room with me and Sarah and Michelle. And nobody has a question. Nobody has a hand up on the switchboard. We've got 5 minutes, so if someone presses 1, we've got time to address another issue.
And Joan, if you happen to be listening on your phone, or if you're just in the chat room, of course this won't work. You could push 1, and you could share the story of finding my book. I loved it. That was pretty cool. And we have 5 minutes.
Area code 205, you're on the air.
That's Miss Jones' area code. Hey, young lady.
Yes, it is. Hi.
I hope you don't mind me telling that tale out of school, but you've shared it on the show before, so I figured it was okay.
Not at all. No, when you came, I had heard about you. And when you came 2 years ago, I thought, wow, his stuff is powerful. I wonder why I don't remember him coming here before. So I came home and looked in my bookcase, and your book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again, was there. And I pulled it out and thought, well, I spent the money on it. I wonder why I didn't read it. Opened it
I love it.
down. It had underlined, highlights, notes in the margins. I mean, I had read that book and I had absolutely no memory of it. So it was once again a reminder of when you're ready, the teacher shows up.
For sure. Well, thank you for being ready, and I really appreciate the way you're touching that community at Unity, the support you've been to people, and it's awesome to watch you and what you've done with it.
Well, it's definitely captured my attention this time, for sure.
Sweet.
Thank you so much, Michael and Jeanie.
All right. Well, anything else to share?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you have the two of you live with you for a week, you understand what's going on in the background with Jeanie and the role that she plays. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Awesome. Delighted. Glad to have you on our team, young lady.
I'm glad to have you on my team too.
You got it. For sure.
Namaste.
Namaste. Blessings.
Okay, we're down to a minute, counting the minute then that we've got for the outro. So,
well, we're honored and delighted that everyone's been here, and we'll hold space. The archive of this show will be available just a few minutes after the show's complete. And if this makes sense, you can, make a copy of the show. You can download the MP3 free. You can create a link to it if there's anybody else you'd like to have hear the show. And in the meantime, create the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world. Blessings.